Rashawn, and this is Space Invaders TV. I want to welcome you all to the page. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Um, Welcome to anybody that just tapped into the page, or and welcome to the new subscribers. Today we're gonna jump right in. As you can see in the title here, talking about the superintendent of schools in Guilford County, North Carolina. Um, a county where I reside at in North Carolina, and this situation is very close to me because my daughter was affected and is affected by this situation that's going on here. So we're gonna jump right into it. So about a year ago, uh, I believe I spoke about this situation, and I also was on the news for this situation. In 2018, there was a tornado that came through uh, Guilford County, and a lot of homes were destroyed, and a lot of property damage. And as a result of that, too, you had three schools that were damaged in that tornado in 2018, and then you had many students displaced, many elementary school students that were displaced. Um, you had what was it? You had Irwin Montessori, which was a school my daughter went to. Peeler Elementary, um, and I want to say I'm going through old emails. Yeah, okay, yes. Peeler Elementary, Irvin Montessori, and it was Hampton Elementary School in Greensboro, North Carolina. They were heavily damaged. My daughter's school at the time was they had some minor roof damage, but the other two schools, Irwin and Peeler, they had a little more damage than what Irwin was. And I mean, and still today, Irwin Montessori is still sitting there. All three of the schools are still sitting there, nothing done to them. And Irwin Montessori had a little roof damage, and they had some mold issues. That was all from our understanding what it was. So during that, my daughter, and along with the other schools as well, the students were, placed in other schools. And the other schools were big enough and had more space to hold those other schools. Mind you, a couple of those schools were newer schools as well. Um, Hampton, Peeler, and Irvin Montessori are older schools, which are a lot of older schools, not just here in Guilford County, but around the state. They have a lot of old schools. Around the country, you have a lot of old schools, and so, but Guilford County, they acted fast. They moved. They transitioned. They got the kids, and it was a good thing that when that tornado came through, school was not in. I believe when it hit on a, it might have hit like on a Friday night or a Saturday. All I know, the kids weren't in school, so that was a good thing, you know. So no parents had to worry about that situation there because that's something, you know. If there was school going on, that would have really, you know, I mean, as a parent, scrambling trying to get your kids and waiting in a car line, and school buses and things probably would have just shut that down, you know, in fear of being caught in that. So it was a great thing, and it was a blessing that those students got, were had to be, in school during that time. Um, as I said, the Guilford County school system, they acted fast. They did move and get things in order, transition the kids into other schools or whatever. So my daughter went to another school, and we let her stay at the other school for a year. It kind of was out of our, out of the way a little. So we let her stay for one year, and then we transitioned, like took her out, But to move on and go on and tell more of the story. So that was that. right? That happened in 2018. So, okay, moving along in 2019, Guilford County, late 2019, I should say, Guilford County was awarded $10 million, $10.1 million in insurance money for the damaging of those schools. Um, and from my understanding and from my readings at that time, they could have got more, but those schools were old and the schools were actually old and ran down, had HVAC system issues, um, you know, and things of that nature. They were old schools, so if they were kind of newer, they would have got more money. So at the time when Guilford County got this money, and I'm reading and I'm looking at the old the old email here that I had saved at the time. I'm going to read it off here real brief. Guilford County Schools received $10.1 million in insurance money for the three elementary schools damaged during the Greensboro tornado last year. That was Peeler Elementary, like I said, Irwin Montessori, and Hampton Elementary School. It's a settlement that GCS, aka Greensboro County Schools, is happy with. So they were happy with that $10.1 million. They got that $10.1 million. We had yet to see anything be done with the school system, be done with the schools. You know, um, at least with those three schools that they got money for, we have yet to see anything. Those schools are still sitting on nothing done to those schools. They got $10.1 million that they were happy with. There were no complaints about that, right? It really much they couldn't complain about it because at the time the insurance company, when I was reading different things, the insurance company was saying that, like I said, that they could have got more money, but if the schools were newer schools, but they were old schools with that were deteriorating. You know what I mean? So you know, so they was happy. They were luckily to walk away with that for those three schools. Okay, so moving on. Still to this day, never seen anything done to the schools. Never seen, never heard or seen anything done. You know, so moving on, all to this day right here, you have so the superintendent of schools, Sharon Contreras. She was a superintendent for 4 years in Syracuse, New York. Right. Uh, if you ask me as a parent, and there's a lot of parents here in the county here that shared their concerns and their opinions about her, and it just seems like this woman isn't even, she's not even I don't think she's fit for the job. To be honest with you, um, and that's just my opinion. Um, just to give an example before I even move on. So just during the 2020, during the pandemic, instead of worrying about getting the schools in place and everything of that nature, and taking care of some of the schools that could be taken care of maintenance wise, 10.1 million dollars, you could have been fixing up the schools with that money. That they could have been fixing up the three schools that were damaged in 2018. But no, Sharon Contreras, what she was doing in 2018, she put a bid in to be the Secretary of Education for the was running for the Biden Secretary of Education during the pandemic. She was trying to be a part of the Biden administration by running for the Secretary of Education during a pandemic. She was like one of the top five runners up for that spot. She didn't get it. It's a good thing she didn't get it, because my thing is, you're moving on, but you're not you moving on, and they said it was for less money. I don't care what it is. you're moving from jobs, and you're not really doing your job where you're at. From my understanding, and I'm gonna get into that one, up Syracuse, they weren't happy with her up there as the superintendent of their schools. They weren't happy with her up there. She had a 5-year contract there, and she only did 4. Because by her 4th year, she had put in for the job here that she heard about the opening for a superintendent of schools here. So she put in for a job here within her 4 years. Now at the time, you had a gentleman before she stepped in. You had a gentleman here that was superintendent of schools. His name was Mo Green. That guy was really for the schools. He came from the Mecklenburg County school system, and he was really down for the kids, and he was trying to do all he could do. He was so passionate that they wanted to give him a raise, and the teachers weren't getting a raise. So Mo Green, at the time, he was the superintendent of school for Guilford County. At the time, he told him, "Hey, I don't want that raise. That money, give it back to the system. Do something with it with the schools. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, upgrade whatever for the schools, or put that into the, add that to the budget or whatever for the schools. I don't want the money. You know what I'm saying? That's how passionate he was. But I guess it was some things going on, and he got tired. He bounced. I know that he's still here in the state. I thought at the time that he went back to Mecklenburg County, but I don't quote me on that. But I thought he went back to Mecklenburg County, which is the Charlotte area, Charlotte and the surrounding area school system. I thought he went back there, from my understanding, um, which he had did an excellent job. And from my understanding, they didn't want him to leave, but I guess he was up for the challenge to come here and get things straight here. He was just with the challenge, you know what I mean? I guess he did what he needed to do there and just wanted to come here and, you know what I'm saying, make a change here, which is fine and understandable. You know what I mean? Like, you want to you challenging yourself. So I guess when Mo left, I think it was like the school. I think the superintendent job was probably up in the air. I guess they probably had someone sitting in. I'm not for sure quite who it was, or even if that was really the case. But I know that he left, and then this Sharon Contreras comes, and I'll tell you, still to this day, nothing. So you have right now, you have um, the Guilford County itself. The county is blasting the Guilford County school system because when the government during the 2020, during the pandemic, money was given out, right? Just break it down in layman terms. Money was given out. States got lump sums of money for education, infrastructure, whatever, some of everything that you could think of. They kind of got states got budgets for bigger, larger budgets to do things. North Carolina was one of them. So Contreras went to one of the meetings with the commissioners. She asked for $20 million. They're like, no, we're not gonna give you 20 million. You already got 10. You already got 10 million from the insurance. What are you doing with that money? You're not doing anything with that. We're not gonna give you $20 million. So they said, oh, we'll give you 10. They gave her $10 million for the schools. Okay, so she walked away with that, and they earmarked another 5 million for the HVAC systems for the schools. Okay, but she turns around and says, Sharon Contreras says, "Oh, 10 million is not enough. Uh, I know a school system where it cost them 20 million just to put doors up." But when you got the 10.1 million Contreras from the insurance money for Peeler, Irwin Montessori, and Hampton Elementary School for the 2018 tornado, you were fine with that money. You said, Sharon Contreras, Miss, Ma'am, you said you was fine with that. You said you was fine with that, but the county's giving you, the county, the county gave you 10 million. They didn't give you what you asked for with the 20. They gave you 10 million and told you go on about you and do what you make it do what it do. You turn around when they start questioning you now because the county's like, hey, what's up with that money? What's up? You ain't got nothing done. We not just gonna give you that check. Hold on, y'all. Let me take the volume down on this. They're like, hey, the county, Guilford County itself says, hey, we not just giving you that money, and you know that anybody and everybody knows that they do work for the county. We need receipts before we pay them. It's pretty much like we investors. We want to see our investment. We need paperwork. We need receipts. We need to we need to be accountable for this money that we giving you. You know what I'm saying? As well as you do too. But you haven't came to us for anything, and we put that money on the table and earmarked 5 million for you. So you have 15 million on the table. You still haven't came to get it. So you figure you got 10.1 million and 15 million. Come on, man. Come on, man. You sitting on $25.5 million, man, all together. You trying to tell me that's not enough to do anything? So now they're giving you that money. You add that 10.1 that you got from the insurance money, and then you get the 15 million from what the county is gonna give you. Now you can fix up way more schools. You can fix up the 3 schools plus. You what's the problem? You wanted 20 million from the county, but you're sitting on more than that. I'm confused, Ms. Contreras. I'm confused at what are you doing. I'm confused about what you and your people are doing. I'm confused about your mission. Okay? I'm confused about your mission here. Um, okay, so the Rhino Times in Greensboro. They says here, I'm just gonna read off something here. We literally had to beg for a request to allocate the 10 million we set aside for school security improvements in 2018, Phillips wrote. Almost a year later, we finally received a cryptic request that had zero details. When we repeatedly asked for more information, they were offended that we had requests about specifics. Due to our continued frustrations over their complete disregard for making the issue a priority, we began talking to school safety firms ourselves, trying to learn about school security solutions, essentially doing the job of Guilford County School Administration and their board. So this is the county talking. They got frustrated. So this is not their job to do your job and your board member's job and your administration job, Miss Contreras. They're calling you out. But you see, instead of doing your job, if I was Guilford County School and board members, I would have let you go when we're in the middle of a pandemic and we find out that you're lobbying for a job to become Secretary of Education with the Biden administration. I would have let you go then because you didn't have the Guilford County Schools on your brain. You're trying to elevate yourself, and see that's the problem with the education system. You're trying to take the and you have different things here. What I read was you're trying to take, like, okay, I'm gonna read something here. This is pretty much like her bio they have on the Guilford County Schools website. Okay, this is a true warrior for equality. Contreras is celebrated for implementing policies aimed at closing achievement gaps and improving opportunity for students of color. Since taking the lead in Guilford County, she's helped close the graduation gap between black and white students from 12.6% to 5.7% for the 2018-2019 school year. While in Syracuse, Contreras took on reducing the school to prison pipeline and tackled the disappropriated impact these policies have. Oh, let's just stop right there. Okay, Ms. Contreras, you did not do anything for improving the graduation gap with these students. You know who did that? It was those teachers, boots on the ground. These hardworking teachers here in this county, and not only in this county, in the state. You have dedicated teachers. I don't know all of them, but I know there's some damn well educated, strong, and passionate teachers here, as there is in every state around this country. But one thing I do know, you didn't have anything. You're not in the classroom. You ain't. You are not sitting in that classroom teaching those children. You're not doing that. You're not motivating those children. It is those hard working, passionate teachers that you have in Guilford County. Okay? That's who made sure and took pride in the schools that they're teaching in. They took pride in the schools and the districts. They took on working in hard and tough districts. You know what I'm saying? And challenged districts where the scores may be low. Well, let's not say maybe, they are low. It's those teachers that go in there and with the mentality of each one teach one. They know if they grab one, if they get one, they want to get the whole, but they're happy with get one. They're making the progress. If each teacher just hold on to that one student that they feel is going to get away, they know that they made progress that year. It's those teachers. It's not you. You're a superintendent. You sit in your office, Contreras, and you're conjuring up ways of how to freaking become a freaking secretary of education. Well, first of all, you need a master being a superintendent of schools, because you were in Syracuse. Didn't sound too much. They didn't sound too much happy with you up there. You know, from what I was reading, they didn't sound too much happy with you up there. And I'm gonna go to it. Some of them didn't want to throw you under the bus. But I'm going to ramble off some names, Ms. Contreras, and you tell me if you've heard of these people here. Okay? All right? So, you know, I knew once when the tornado hit in 2018, and I just felt something weird about you when we went to that church and I sat there and you had your secretary, Ms. Contreras. You should have been answering questions from the people, from the parents. But you had your secretary, and you were standing and hiding behind your freaking secretary like you didn't know. When I watched you and I knew, I said, this lady don't know what the freak is going on. She don't have a clue of what's going on. She's all about herself. She's not about them children. She's about herself and trying to make herself look good and trying to up herself. Okay? Let's read here. This is from Syracuse.com. Okay? Syracuse Superintendent Contreras will leave as board was set to consider her fate. So she just probably just bounced anyway, because she had a 5-year thing. And on the 5th year, it was coming up to her, you know what I mean, they were going to decide if they were going to keep her, because they was in transition. In Syracuse, New York, where Miss Contreras came from as superintendent of schools, they were in transition anyway of their board. So they were in transition of new board members coming in. At the same time, it was coming up on her contract, which was a 5-year contract as a superintendent. She was in her 4th year when she dipped on them. Okay? And Contreras' contract in Syracuse was extended by 1 year in December to leave time for a new school board to evaluate her before considering a long-term extension of her contract. The Syracuse and North Carolina school districts announced today that Contreras was the sole finalist for the superintendency in Guilford County. Her move is timing leave a number of questions. Her move and its timing, leave a number of questions unanswered. Here's a breakdown of what we don't know, what we know and don't know. Why would she leave? Contreras could not be reached for comment, so we haven't heard from her on this. But the Guilford County Schools Superintendency is probably a step up on the career ladder. It's the 3rd largest school system in North Carolina, 3 times as large as Syracuse school system. The job likely pays more. Contreras' salary this year is $214,000. Her predecessor in Guilford County made $250,000. Guilford County is also the latest to say yes to education district in the country. So Contreras will be able to bring her experience with Say Yes in Syracuse to her new position as Say Yes district. So that's what probably sold her that Say Yes to education thing and all that. That's what probably sold it and got her here because she was already familiar with the Say Yes situation, which I'm still not sure clear on what that's all about. While she expected to stay longer, it's hard to say. Urban superintendents, on average, stay in a district for 3.5 years. According to the Council of Great City Schools, Contreras held her position for 5.5 years. Okay, so I'm sorry I said 4. So she held it for 5.5 years, but they extended it for another year when the board was going in their transition. Recent negotiations of extending her contract have been tense, so it's not clear if the board of Education would have voted to extend her contract. How much time does she have left on her contract? There is 1 year left on her contract. The board in December voted to extend her contract through June 2017 to leave incoming board members time to get to know Contreras before considering a long-term extension according to the terms of her new contract. Okay, board members have said little about how they would vote on the contract. Board President Derek Dorsey could not be reached for comment. 6 other board members could not be reached or declined to comment. Only first-year member Dan Romero has publicly discussed how he would vote. During the election in November, Romero said he leaned toward voting no on her contract. Mark Muhammad, Katie Soljwitz, and Rita Panagar all declined to say how they would vote at the time. Muhammad and President Derek Dorsey voted in favor of the extension. Derek Cecil and Pat Boddy voted against the extension. So you had people on the fence that really wasn't reckoning with her. And like I said, I was hearing other things and reading a lot of things too that she really wasn't, you know. So she's all about just upping herself, Sharon Contreras. She's not thinking, and when she did that move and during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, because let's not say we're not out of the pandemic. Let's just be clear here. You got ones that want to act like it and want to act like they're gonna wipe this thing under the rug because of the vaccine. But I already talked about that months ago. I already told y'all how that was going to turn out with this vaccine and how they was going to make that the end all be all. But let's move on. But during that pandemic, it showed me with Sharon Contreras, Superintendent of Schools for Guilford County, it showed me how this woman, like what her mindset was at. She was ready to jump ship and bail out on the people, instead of sticking here and getting things straight. So if you were going to take the job as Secretary of Education for the Biden administration, and it was for less money, but of course, there's more perks that came along with that. But we're not going to think about the money right now, because if it was for less money, well, that leads me to believe to think, it's just like I know. You were bailing out. You were ready to bail out and run because you ain't doing your job here, so you want to run. You did the same thing in Syracuse, Contreras. You weren't doing what you were supposed to do up there. You ran here, and it came here. It was for more money, but who knows the other places you probably put in for? You just didn't get it. But they took you here. They was desperate here. They needed somebody. They needed somebody here, so they took you. Can't blame you for the tornado in 2018. Not at all. Not blaming you for that. Blaming you for what you've done after that and still haven't put in motion. You barely talked during the pandemic with the school system. You sucked ass through that whole situation. the way you handled that situation and having students come back to come back uh during the last school year, they come back for a little bit, then they'll come back. You wanted the kindergartners to come back and everything, so they come back to school. 2 days later, after you say they come back to school, you're saying, "Oh, we're not gonna let them in school today. We're not gonna. The kids can learn from home." Parents have to work. What are you doing? We have to have a line of communication. The line of communication was just jacked up. You were putting people in real tough spots. It was like, why not just leave the kids at home then? If you're gonna keep, they come back for 3 days, then you have them out of school for 2 more days, so they in this class for 3 days, then they back doing the remote learning. Listen, you were like all over the place. We haven't heard anything from you since. Last thing really heard from you was, me personally, because I've been tuned you out anyway. So the last thing I really heard from you was when you were running for the Secretary of Education for the United States. Once I heard that, I really just cut the lights out on you, because I knew where your head was at, and I knew what you were really on, and I knew that you weren't for the kids because you wanted to bail out in the pandemic. That let me know that you were for yourself, and that's really probably why you've been hiding anyway, because your coat tail has been pulled, and that's why everybody's coming down on you now. That's why the county is calling you out right now. You know, you had a nerve, Contreras, to be happy with the $10.1 million that you were going to get for 3 schools for the insurance money, which it was no way it was going to cost. I'm not going to believe it was going to cost you. No way it was going to cost you $10 million just to fix the HVAC systems in them schools. But even though you had the other schools, Pillar and Hampton, their roofs were damaged. Hampton Elementary, that school's still sitting. It had minor roof damage. That school is really just still sitting, deteriorating. That was an all brick school, man. You know what I mean? You just needed some. You needed some upgrades on that school. You needed some upgrades on that school, and it wouldn't have cost you no daggone $10 million just to fix the roof of that school, the whole roof, and put more. They already had some security measures set up at Irwin, but you could have upgraded that. That $10.1 million just for those 3 schools was well over enough, and he didn't even do anything with that. 2020 was the perfect time to have things done because there was no school and play. The school was done after freaking February, late February, early March. There was no school for the students. You didn't put anything in play. Instead, still to this day, just for those 3 schools. Haven't heard anything. And then you went to them, to the county, when you knew it was money coming down the pipeline for the county. You went there and asked for $20 million for the schools, but they gave you 10. Really, they gave you $15 million because they granted you the 10, and they earmarked $5 million. They said we're gonna throw $5 million just to go ahead for the HVAC system. Go ahead and take that $5 million to help out with the HVAC systems for the schools. You then turn your nose up at that now that they're calling you out. Damn shame, man. And this is what I'm talking about when we have people, that's supposed to be setting an example and leading the children and setting children up, you know what I mean, and caring about the education. The teachers can't properly do their job if the people above them do not back them. You have to back them up and give them all that they need. Give them the artillery that they need to help the children succeed. That's what you in education. That's what this is all about. You're there to service those children. That's your job. Yes, the parents' job is to teach as well too. Teach the kids as well. We can't only say that the teachers, but when they are in the care of the education system of whatever said county or city, state, whatever, that's your job to teach and it's the job to teach those children, to lead those children, and those 7, 8 hours that they're in your school, it's your job to make sure that your district, if you're a superintendent of school, your district is handled. You're doing the best you can and communicate with the public to let them know so the public can help. So the public can get behind you and rally behind you for what you're advocating for. And you say you may not be getting from the state or the government, period. You know? Come on, man. But Contreras, you need to be out of here. That's all I'm saying. You need to be out. Done. It's a wrap for you, lady. You know what I mean? You suck. And I've said that long before. This is not the first video I spoke about this situation. When I first spoke about the insurance money that was given, the 10.1 million, I spoke about that a year ago or so. And I spoke about you and how I felt about you. And how you handle things. And if there's an issue, if there's other issues as far as concerning, support, then I think you need to step up, Miss Sharon Contreras, and clear yourself and say, hey, I've been trying this and this haven't been going. I'm not getting the support. But no, you haven't been saying that. No, I seen how you moved when you had the meeting at the church, and I seen how you hide behind your assistant at that time or whatever, or whoever she was. I just shook my head and I said, this lady ain't ready. Personally, if you ask me, somebody, you shouldn't, 5 years as a superintendent of schools, for a county with 500,000 residents, you shouldn't. You 5 years experience. That's not enough. That's not enough. But you got one off on them. They were desperate, and you was probably the closest, best thing that to Guilford County's liking. But I hope they learn from this. I hope Guilford County learns. Board of Commissioners, y'all learn and pick better people. And y'all should be pointing and looking for people. Y'all should have been having y'all eye on somebody. If not no other time, y'all should have had y'all eye on somebody in 2020. Y'all should have started eyeballing somebody for her position. Cause you already see how she on it. She's looking for a way out. She's trying to hop around. She don't care nothing about them children. And we just gonna keep it real, all the way real. But that's my time. I just wanted to run that by y'all. Like I said, this is Space Invaders TV. I'm your guy, Rashawn. Peace and blessings to you all. And I just wanted to share that story. I just wanted to talk about that. As I said, this is a channel where we're going to talk about and have many conversations about world events, local events, and just, motivation, giving motivation, talking, and we're gonna talk about business here. Everything that you may talk about with your friends and family and co-workers and associates and things of that nature. I bring those topics to you right here. So make sure if this is your first time catching my videos or whatever. I have over 60 plus videos. Make sure you subscribe and share and tell a friend. It's a no judgment zone here. If I'm bringing about a topic and it's something that you don't agree on, hey, drop a comment. Say how you feel. That's what this is about. We adults here. This is adult channel. Like, I ain't judging. I ain't bashing. I'm not name calling. That's not none of that. Your opinion is your opinion, and that's what it's about. Free speech, free will to think what you want to think. I just bring the topics to the forefront, and throw it up in the air and say my spill and let the people, if you will, voice your opinions. Like I said, thank y'all for watching. I'll catch y'all next week. Once again, this is Base Invaders TV. I'm your guy, Rashawn, and I'm out. Stay blessed, y'all.